and welcome to Working Together. In this series of interviews, we're going to be exploring the value of collaboration, cooperation, and co-working in business, speaking to some really inspiring people who have used collaboration to support their business journey. So if you don't know me already, my name's Beth, I'm the Ops Manager at the project, and we are a co-working members club on Ship Street. Our mission is to support entrepreneurs and innovators by creating a space where members can access tools, learning and support, and everything that they need to thrive. We really love seeing collaboration come together in our community, which is why we're really pleased to introduce Scott Colenutt from SiteVisibility. Scott, we were offline, we were having a really great chat about everything that's been going on for you guys with COVID. And just before we do the full intro of what SiteVisibility are up to, can you just give me a brief rundown of how it's all been going for you guys?
Yeah, my cat's trying to introduce himself. I knew that would happen as well.
Oh, introduce your cat. We'd love to see
my cat's somewhere. He's meowing. He at some point, I'm sure he'll pop up and jump on the desk. I can't. Yeah, in terms of lockdown, so it's been easy for me to adapt. Maybe not as easy for some other people. The tech side of it's been easy. So we're using Slack, we're using Zoom, GoToMeeting, those kind of software. That's been easy to adapt to. No real changes there. I think clients and the client side of things, that's been okay. We're in marketing, so not having face-to-face time with clients is a bit more difficult. A lot of people get confidence from face-to-face communication skills. And now there's a greater emphasis on both written and I guess over Zoom or over video communication skills. And that's a whole different skill set, right? I think that's probably been the hardest thing for most of our team to adapt to, aside from the thing about just motivation and energy and getting energy from other people. So yeah, it's been a bit of a whirlwind, a roller coaster, I think.
Absolutely. So how many people Scott, we should probably, for people who don't know you, just very briefly, if you wouldn't mind just explaining what SiteVisibility do.
We are a full service marketing agency, and what that really means is that a range of marketing services. We're typically known in Brighton and more nationally and somewhat internationally for our organic search and SEO services. And that's because of Brighton SEO, which is the largest search marketing conference in the world. And we're co-founders of that. That's why we're well known. And we've been around a long time as well. So while some agencies have come and gone, SiteVisibility has been around in one form or another since 2001. But yeah, we offer paid media services, content marketing. We host one of the world's legitimately most popular marketing podcasts called the Internet Marketing Podcast, which I've recently taken over as host. That's something I'm enjoying. That's also something I've had to adapt to over these last couple of months. And we're right in the centre of Brighton, not so far from where you are.
So you've been going for 2001, and that is an achievement in itself.
It is, yeah.
The whole time, did you launch and start the business, or?
No, so I've been at SiteVisibility for 7.5 years. Our owner and our CEO, Jason Woodford, he started off the company as an e-learning business, and I think it was running as an e-learning business in some form from 2001 to about 2008. And I think around 2008, 2009 is where they changed. I can't exactly remember what. Jason's a better person to tell the story than I, but they had a decision to make. Did they go the e-learning route or digital marketing route? And they went the digital marketing agency route. And I've been at SiteVisibility since 2013 in several different roles, and I'm now the managing director.
So you mentioned, Kelvin Newman is actually another person that we've been interviewing in this series. So obviously for both of you, both for SiteVisibility and for Kelvin, collaboration is really, really important. You also collaborate with, is it the Clock Tower? Yeah, Clockwork Talent and Brighton SEO. Can you tell us a bit about how these relationships work, why these are so important for SiteVisibility?
I mean, Brighton SEO, as I mentioned, we are co-founders of with Kelvin. Kelvin built that into he built that into his own. So that eventually became so big, he took that over full time, and now he runs that. But it's under the SiteVisibility umbrella as such. He's not so much involved in day-to-day at SiteVisibility anymore, although at one point in time he was running kind of side by side. He was doing a day job at SiteVisibility, then trying to run Brighton SEO before Brighton SEO got so big that was his full-time job. In terms of Brighton SEO, why that's important to us, it's something to be proud of. Number one, it's always good to have something that you're proud in, some kind of heritage, some kind of background. It's important for motivation to current employees. It's important to attract new prospects, recruitment. I guess for me, the biggest thing as someone who's interested in personal development, it's a sign. We use Kelvin amongst other people as someone who came to SiteVisibility, they developed their career, and now they're doing their own thing. And that's what everyone wants to do, right? Whether if you're not the entrepreneurial type and you don't necessarily want to run your own business off the bat, the least you want from a career is the ability to grow. And that's something we're proud of at SiteVisibility, and Kelvin's one of those great stories. There are some the commercial side of things at Brighton SEO and between Brighton SEO and SiteVisibility. So being the co-founders, I guess some of the maybe authority that we inherit from being co-founders helps us generate a lot of leads. I guess it's a reputation factor in marketing. Word of mouth is everything. And so we continue to benefit from the word of mouth, being the co-founders of Brighton SEO long after Brighton SEO has become its own thing and being managed by Kelvin. So it also gives us loads of training opportunities, which some other agencies don't necessarily get in the same way. So Kelvin typically will give us opportunities to speak at the event. Maybe it's just testing the water with speaking by introducing speakers on stage. There are things like when it was a physical event, writing for their newspaper. Yeah, just becoming involved in roundtable discussions, hosting side events, all of that kind of stuff, which is great, again, for career development. And we typically, Kelvin will usually come to us at SiteVisibility and say, look, does anyone want to help out with this? So that's a really good relationship to maintain.
Oh, no, tell me about Clockwork Talent, because that's what I was going to about doors.
All right. So, and Clockwork Talent is literally a sister business. So Jason's sister, Natasha Woodford, is the owner of that business. And yeah, essentially it's our route through in marketing. Again, typically companies will take marketing in-house at some point, usually. And if they do want to take that in-house, well, we've got an offering there with a Clockwork Talent partnership, a recruitment partner that specializes in digital marketing. So it gives us the ability to help clients that want to take marketing in-house. So we really don't have to see that as a risk. A lot of the agencies will see clients taking marketing in-house as a risk. And we just see that as I guess, one, an opportunity to help them develop in a different way. And two, it's just a slightly different revenue stream. Yeah. And again, it's just, in marketing, it's just good to have those options and have those partners in place for things that maybe we didn't need or we weren't specialists in-house.
That's right. And that's something that I've really seen, even with like very small agencies people have been realizing that, you can't offer everything as a small marketing agency, but maybe you can partner up with another one, then your reach is so much, you have so much more reach because of all the different contacts. It was interesting to hear you say about word of mouth, because typically Brighton businesses, they can be accused of being very insular and working with other Brighton companies. Not always, but and SiteVisibility obviously isn't one of those stories. You do work with Brighton businesses, but you work nationally and also internationally. How do you go about finding those clients? Does it come through you? Does it come through Brighton SEO? And attribute that success wider than just the city?
Good question. I guess there's nothing in our marketing plan, just as a business and what we want to achieve in our marketing plan or in our business plan, that specifies we have to work with Brighton businesses. I think that, yeah, just reverse engineering your question a little bit. I think to myself, as an agency, what do we try to achieve? Well, we have an ideal client list. We have target businesses we want to work with. And it's really about working with businesses that have the right values, that are doing interesting things, that we're really excited to work with. And again, whether it's marketing or not, these days, I mean, even again, in the pandemic, has made you realize that the world's a lot smaller than we think it is. And you can work with someone in a different location and it can work fine. I think if you place too much emphasis, again, this is different for each industry, but if you place too much emphasis on location as the thing that you need to drive your business, is that a strong enough value? Is that a strong enough value to keep you motivated for longevity? I don't think it is. I think your values have to come from elsewhere. That's how I describe it, I think. It's
quite difficult, isn't it, when businesses are starting out, and we mainly work with a lot of established businesses, but generally they're in their first kind of 5 to 10 years of, their startups, people that we work with the projects. And there can be this kind of knee-jerk reaction to kind of collaborate or work with whatever leads you get. And it's like, well, we need to work with everyone, we need to get the money, and we like, and sometimes that can be a detriment to the business. You kind of spread yourself too thin, and then you don't really know who you are anymore. Has SiteVisibility always kind of had a very strict set of values about the clients that they want to work with, or have you been able to afford that luxury now that you're a bit more established?
Honestly, no, we haven't always been able to afford that. We've been in positions as a company, even in my time here, but I know definitely, definitely before my time, that there was and I've seen it at other agencies as well. Sometimes there's a need to keep the revenue coming in, so you sacrifice your values in exchange for revenue, and that never works out well. I've seen it happen, and I understand the business reasons. In the position that I'm in, that's something I have to think about quite regularly, actually. However, we have made, I would say, the adjustments since about, I mean, it's been one of my goals, my personal goals at SiteVisibility when I saw that happening, to work with Jason Woodford, our CEO, to stop that happening. We've managed to curb that mostly since about 2017, last few years. We sometimes turn down business if they're not a good fit for us. That makes complete sense to do. And it has benefited us. And we haven't, again, we're still here. So we're doing okay, all things considered at the moment. And we are able to turn down business. But the second thing, which has, I think, been more beneficial to us as a company over the last couple of years, but also to our network, is actually just working on handing off non-ideal clients for us to partners. So whether it's partner agencies, consultants, freelancers, Brighton's got an amazing freelance community. We've been able to, I guess, provide work to local freelancers that have worked with us previously or have some kind of relationship with us already. So that's been really good as well.
And you've got a specific freelancer network of these people that you work with?
Sort of. Over the years, because of the Brighton SEO connection, because of the Clockwork Talent connection, also Jason Woodford, our CEO, is a kind of master networker type. He's on I think it's the board of directors at Wide Sussex, and he has been, again, for a long time. So he's really well connected. And that means that we're in kind of prime position. We're constantly getting inbound inquiries from consultants looking for work. And we've worked with a number of specialist consultants for areas maybe we just don't have the expertise in-house. And that network has just kind of grown over the years. And we're kind of actually right in the middle of refining it. So there are some freelancers or consultants that we work with regularly. That's just because they're reliable. We've got great relationships with them. In fact, we've had a couple of consultants that we've worked with that have been previous SiteVisibility employees, have left, moved on to different things, and then come back to work as us as consultants. That's a really nice story. But we can do way more with our network. And we did experiment a couple of years ago with some kind of service, like a freelance finder service for Brighton, and it just never really gained traction. We never really invested in it enough. So that's something we've been considering as well.
Wide Sussex have an amazing board of for freelancers to kind of connect, and I know that a lot of people who work at projects have found that really useful. It does feel like there is such a benefit to working with having those connections with freelancers to be able to like consult with and have those projects. I mean, what have the tangible effects been for you guys to be able to have that network of reliable freelancers that you can contact?
I think the biggest thing is the reassurance that stands out to me. The reassurance. So sometimes in marketing, again, marketing is such a broad industry that we're a team of, I think, around 15 at the moment. And that means that we can't possibly have all marketing skills in-house. We have specialists in certain areas, but there are such niche topics that come in marketing sometimes. It could be, for example, someone comes to us one day and says, we've got 10,000 people in our company and we need to find a peer-to-peer video solution and train everyone in that. And who knows, that's not a skill that we'd have in-house. But through our network, we'll probably know someone that's a specialist in that area. Maybe they're a specialist in video communication or video, whatever it is, video comms. Actually, two things. It's the internal. This gives us a lot of confidence. And it gives me a lot of personal confidence. I guess one of the biggest fears in anyone's role is like not being able to answer a question. This is a common thing. And I know one way or another, if we can't answer it, we'll probably know someone that can. I mean, I think that's life in general, to be honest. And that's where a lot of my confidence comes from. But yeah, we're in a good position. And I think that gives our employees confidence, our staff confidence. But also it gives our clients confidence. It means that we can put ourselves again in quite a position of authority or thought leadership. Yeah, because they know if they've got a really specialist technical query, even if we can't answer it, we'll probably know someone that can, and fast, which is good.
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? I wondered, as we can see that, you know, we can start spreading further afield, and we're Brighton based and we're in a building, so a lot of our work is very fixed to this building. But you were talking about how none of your team are working in the office now, and you're having more and more kind of client meetings that aren't, you know, face to face. Is that something that you're going to be looking into, is kind of spreading more globally and contacting freelancers globally as well? Or are there challenges to that, not having those pre-existing kind of face-to-face relationships?
It's not something we're actively looking into, just because we have a good network at the moment, but it's nothing I'd rule out. And I'm a little bit biased because I'm already open to flexible working. I'm open to remote teams. I don't necessarily think we need an office, although it's handy. But what this situation has definitely opened my eyes to is that we can adapt faster than maybe we first believed.
Yeah.
And so if tomorrow someone said, you know, your office is burnt down, that's sad, but we can continue and we'll be all right. I definitely think, I hope anyway, for us, we never had any restrictions. Maybe we had a little bit of a bias towards working with UK and Europe. And I think that was largely due to time zones and the ability to travel if we needed to. So we've had the occasional client in, I think, Brussels, Spain, France. And so we've traveled for face-to-face meetings like quarterly, whatever. I now think if we needed to, it's all about the company, like I said, the values, the direction, the vision for the companies. And I think if there were companies in the US and so forth, or a little bit further away, Australia, for us, we would consider working with them. And I personally don't see it as much of an obstacle as maybe I would have a few months back.
Yeah. So when you talk about your values, and obviously you're not kind of boxed in by location or anything like that, but the main thing that you care about, the people that you collaborate with, the people that you want to attract as clients, you talk about values. What is the golden thread between all of the clients that you have? What are their values? What are you looking for from a client?
That's something we have our company values, and they are be outstanding, deliver the promise, and love working together. And they cover a few different areas. So be outstanding is about the quality of work that we deliver. Are we delivering the work to the best of our ability? Love working together is about our culture. It's our cultural aspect. Are we doing everything we can to, I guess, support, encourage each other and have a harmonious working environment? Deliver the promise is about more about, I see it, and again, I'm okay with this. Our staff to interpret this in slightly different ways, but I see deliver the promise as being authentic. I'm someone who believes in giving people someone your word and then sticking to it. And so that's what that value, and really we look for similar values in our clients. Yeah, I think the major thing that we look for in our clients, it's a mirror thing. We look for those values in our clients, and that helps us judge whether they're a good fit or not. The biggest word that comes to mind, and maybe we need to work this into our values at some point, is approachability, or I think that's a word, or being approachable. That's so important, I guess, in any industry, but particularly marketing, where there's a lot of ego, a lot of opinion at play. You need to detach yourself from your ego and be approachable. And we might come on to this, but one thing I've been talking to our team a lot about lately, I think it's a skill that's benefited me more recently. And I think it's a skill that will benefit everyone right now. Kind of active listening skills and open questioning skills. Those two skills, I think, are so important when it comes to being approachable. And I don't know if it's a skill or characteristic, but self-awareness as well, I think is a practice. I guess self-awareness is another thing we look for in our clients, actually talking it through, is when you're sitting across the table from someone, whether they have the self-awareness or not to know whether they're being authentic, whether they're being rude, whether they're giving you energy and motivation or not. And you kind of have to assess clients on that basis as well. It's
quite a challenge, isn't it, when we aren't created to have conversations like this, over video. And I wonder, my first question, because there was lots of things that were really interesting things about what you said, is there a specific way that you resource and attract your team to make sure that those values are like inherent in your whole team? And I know that you obviously have clockwork talent and you have writing SEO, so I imagine you're going to have a lot of connections with a lot of people that are going to be wanting to work at SiteVisibility. So is there a specific process that you go for? That's going to be my first question, and then I'm going to try and remember my second question.
Oh, I'm not going to remember the first now, but carry on. You might have to remind me. I'm terrible.
No. Let's answer the first one and I'll put it in my head.
All right. So first question, is there anything specifically we do while this is in my mind? Yes. So one thing that I think has really helped, again, I'd say we've been doing this more in the last 2 to 3 years, but it's trying to eliminate as much bias as possible in the interview process. And that means that at one point in time, it was just me interviewing, and that's no good, because I could be a terrible judge of character, or I might not see things in people that other people do. So, and also just as the MD of the company, or in a kind of management position, sometimes you just, for whatever reason, you might not be there today in the detail of the work. And though I work closely in a team of 15, I still work closely with everyone. I'm still not working as closely with our staff as they are working with each other. They're working with each other hours and hours a day. We've been bringing our team in to help with the interview process. So basically we have all of our staff involved in the interview process at this point, and as many people as we can get involved. Again, this is, we have to weigh up at times how intimidating that is to prospective interviewees.
Would you have literally 15 people like?
Well, we have like a 2-stage interview process, so we're and sometimes 3-stage. It depends. Again, it's really just trying to find that balance of, you don't want to make it too intimidating and invest too much time, because we respect people's time, but we need to get our team involved in hiring the people that they want to work with. That's the bottom line, really. There's typically one interview which is just me, maybe another person, and then at some point we usually get maybe 2 to 3 members of the team who they're just in loads of different roles, whoever's available at the time, and they're really looking for those values that I just talked about. Is this someone I want to work with? Is this person approachable? Are they self-aware? And just trying to judge that between us and come to a consensus between us. And there's one thing that stands out to me, and I've done this for a long time, and I don't know whether this is good or bad, but it helps me. In an actual interview, I'll typically ask questions that help me, try and help me at least, see if someone is self-aware or not, see if someone's authentic and open. People always come to interviews and over-prepare for successes, but I really like talking about difficulties, because I think that makes you human. I think it's interesting to talk about, and I think it breaks down a wall. One question I use is, can you talk to me about a facepalm moment? Something you're like, oh shit, I wish I hadn't ever have done that. We've all got them. It could be sending this stupid email to the wrong person, whatever it is. And I really value and really enjoy breaking down that barrier with people. And that goes a long way with me in interviews, if people can come to the interview prepared and it feels genuine, and they haven't heard an interview like this and just come prepared with one for the sake of
it. And I was interested to hear you touch on being aware of your unconscious biases when you're in an interview practice. And I mean, how important is kind of having a diverse team? I mean, it's pretty fair to say, I imagine, in most tech marketing that it tends to be similar people who end up working in a company. I mean, do you find the same at SiteVisibility? And are there ways that you kind of are able to address that in an interview situation to make sure that you're getting a talent from all sorts of places?
That's a very timely question with Black Lives Matter and everything that's happening right now, and has been happening. It's something I've been thinking about so much these last couple of weeks. Again, straight white male talking, so I'm very aware at the moment of my privilege and my bias, and this is something that I'm studying at the moment for myself and for our company. I thought what we were doing was sufficient, and what I mean by that is I thought that we were trying to eliminate as much bias as possible by just, I guess we're not actively discriminate against anyone for any reason, and I thought that teaching active listening skills, teaching opening questioning skills, seeking perspectives and people from different backgrounds and being approachable and open to that was enough, and it's not. And that's something that's really opened my eyes. And we were actually talking about this in the team recently. Is if you go to our team page on our website, we've got a fairly even split of male to female, but we're all white. Are we doing enough to go into our Black community and find Black people in marketing that want to hire for our roles? And up until this point, I've always thought to myself, if someone applies of course we're going to interview them. It's all about skills. It's not something that comes to mind for me. But maybe there's reasons those people aren't applying. And maybe there's the reason that other people that are marginalized or underprivileged or whatever the scenario is, maybe there are reasons those people aren't applying for our company, and we need to do more in that area to encourage them to apply. We haven't been doing enough apart from being open to perspectives and backgrounds. I think just in marketing is a creative industry, and I love different perspectives. I'm someone that studies personality types and people, and if people are at the heart of marketing, then you do need a diverse team.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a really honest answer, and I think probably all businesses aren't doing enough. I'd say, like, it's not enough until the issue is solved and all teams are diverse, and it's something that we've been really thinking about the projects. I mean, we are only a team of 3, and then we work with freelancers and subcontractors after that, but we want to represent the whole Brighton community, so that means that we need to make sure that with the people that we work with, we also need to be representing that community, should represent the other community. And then, I mean, then you look at the Brighton Council and you're like, is that representing the community? And you get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then you're like, this is a really, really big issue, and we need to be part of it. And then it kind of goes even within each person, I guess, about inclusivity and about how we work. I mean, you mentioned that you're a confident introvert, which I think is a very, probably how I would describe myself too. How have you been able to, over the last few months, adapt your preferred style to make sure that the members of your team are also included and they feel comfortable working remotely or within any sort of team format?
The largest thing for me is taking the time out and making sure that I'm calling people. I'm someone that I don't personally need to speak to anyone all day, and I'll be fine, I'll be productive, I'll be working, I'll achieve what I need to achieve. But we mentioned earlier that some people get their energy from other people, just bouncing ideas off one another and so forth. And so it's really just actively me taking time out of my schedule, trying to get out of my head of my routine, and I check in with everyone. So that could just be messages on Slack daily, bi-daily. We've introduced a weekly team meeting, whereas before we were having monthly team meetings. So we have a weekly video call like this with every member of our team. When it comes to kind of talking about people's schedules, I catch up with them on a monthly basis. I would just say more regular time with people. But the other thing is, I mean, I talk about this anyway, is active listening. So I've been just taking time out, I'm really just sitting in meetings with people and just hearing them talk. And actually what's been interesting is a couple of team members have come to me in these last few months and have just wanted to vent, just wanted to rant, and that's completely fine. And I think it's just encouraging that and knowing that that's okay, and we all need to do it. I don't have to respond. They don't have to, not every meeting has to have an action or a next step. It can just be to vent. And I think that's been the biggest, probably, I'd hope the biggest thing that I've offered the team, because I think that's necessary. It's kind of like internal therapy of some description. So yeah, those are some things that we've been doing that stand out. I can't remember your question. Maybe there are some other things there.
I can't remember now.
What have I been doing to adapt? So really just practicing.
So you have your personal style, which is very similar to mine. And then I know members of my team who have felt, and it's been a failing of mine, which is that they really, really value my time. They really value chatting things through with me, bouncing ideas off with me, and because we have a very small team, I can't rely on other people to kind of fill that void. And but they have the rest of the project's community to chat to, but in terms of their actual work, so it's something that I've had to apologize and be accountable for, and that to me is also a way of making sure that I'm inclusive with my team as well, because it can't just be about what I prefer and how I prefer to work. So I was just interested in if you've had kind of similar issues working primarily remotely with your team.
Yeah, the other thing that stands out to me as you were talking there is I made it an intention of mine to over communicate. So I really have deliberately done. I'm someone that I talk sparingly. Interviews like this with me are rare, apart from being a host where I'm asking other people questions. I'm a reflector. I sit, I think, I study, I don't give my opinion unless it's needed. I don't think. Yeah, I think active listening is one skill, and then over communicating, talking more than I usually would. And actually, the reason, just breaking that down, is because everyone wants more reassurance than ever right now. And as a senior figure, whether you're a line manager or a more senior manager, managing director, CEO, I think you have to over communicate for reassurance. So again, I've talked about, you've probably got this feeling already, we're a pretty open company. We talk quite openly about, things that might have been historically been taboo, finances, client difficulties, whatever it is, personal difficulties even. But I've made it a point to over communicate more, because at the root of it, everyone's worried for their jobs at the moment. So everyone is worried about furloughing and what that might mean, redundancy and what that might mean, even just health, just people worried about their health and what that means, and their mental health. And so I've made it a point to over communicate. And what I mean by that is just talking more about the status of our company, our clients, our people, my struggles, just to try and encourage conversation. That's the other thing I've been actively doing more. It's something that's a little bit outside of my comfort zone, and I wouldn't usually do if we were all working in the office.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, because that's actually, if I was just thinking about really randomly, like doing first aid training, and if someone's in shock, then the best way to kind of help them through the trauma, apart from, making sure that they're in a position, is to talk them through it, and just to carry on talking, and then just have that, like, just keep them communicating. And on a macro scale, that's kind of what we're all going through at the moment, and we all just need to reach out to someone and say, help and talk, and well, maybe not all of us, because I really don't feel that way, but maybe that is because I have the information in my head about where the business is going, what's going on, and I have those communications. So it has been definitely a learning for me to kind of not assume everything that's in my head is there with the team, because normally we're in an office situation, we can just, like, it's constant. We don't really have meetings, but we have just constant chatting, everything, like everyone knows everything's going on constantly. So it's been a really big adaptation for all of us at the project, and it sounds like SiteVisibility were able to kind of adapt pretty well to it. I guess 2 more questions. So
okay.
I wonder are you planning to go back to the kind of traditional office-based roles, and or are you thinking that in terms of working together and collaborating, all of those things, it's just not that necessary anymore?
No, we're not. I'm not planning on going back full time at this moment. Now, the difficulty is I don't exactly know what we are going to do, but what the thread that seems to come out of our team the last few months is that some people are benefiting more from the extra ability to work from home and that isolation. Again, the kind of there is a personality type, but again, there's loads of different personality types that you can study, but it's really the people that benefit from self-motivation, introversion, that maybe and get their energy from study or being on their own. We've got a few members of the team like that have, I think, thrived in this environment. And so that's opened my eyes. If we need to get the best marketing, the best out of our team, then we need to give, this is something that I thought about just coming into this call and knowing what the call is going to be about. I've always thought this way, but it's kind of cemented the view for me, is that there's quite and rightfully in the world, it's kind of treat people how you wish to be treated and treat everyone the same. But when you're managing a team, I don't think that you should treat each member the same. And what I mean by that is that you have to study your employees on a one-to-one basis to figure out their personality type and what they benefit from, and not treat everyone the same. I think that's I don't know where that has come from in management, and I've heard it so many times about treating people equally. I actually don't agree with that at all. I think you shouldn't treat people equally, because I think that's being ignorant. And that's in terms of our physical office, I think we're going to I do think that it's good to have an office space, because at some point, those, like I said, the people that get their energy from other people, they are going to want a space. They're going to want a collaborative space to meet with everyone, for our creative sessions, for our brainstorming sessions. But we just definitely don't, and again, I could go into this topic all day, to sit 7.5 hours in one place just seems counterproductive. It just doesn't seem to work, for whether it's a generational fit, whether it's an environmental thing. Yeah, it's just evolution in progress. I think it's just it doesn't feel right. And I've benefited from like changing routine during this pandemic, working out earlier in the morning, not having to, I've only got a short walk to work, but it's still, 20, 40 minutes a day, whatever it is. Yeah, I've benefited from maybe taking a couple of extra hours out in the middle of the day, and then just working in the evenings if I need to, whatever I'm feeling that day. and I've managed to maintain my productivity, and I feel like I'm doing so much better. And I think a lot of our teams do the same thing. Yeah, I'm somewhere in the middle at the moment of thinking that having a base is a good idea. And this is where I think you guys and just co-working spaces, they're really, I understand it's a really difficult time right now, but maybe this is going to both be a consideration, but also a massive benefit to you somewhere down the line. As I think a lot of companies like ours are going to think, well, we don't need to pay this rent on this building full time. We actually just need the occasional space to work in for our team. So maybe we just have the occasional space. And that's what I'm looking at the moment. How can I bring people back to work on a basis where everyone's still comfortable, but we don't need to be there full time?
I think that's exactly what we're about.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is, just being really flexible, and just making whatever you do work for that sounds like I'm doing a plug for the project. I'm not. It's just what we are about.
Yeah, well done with that smooth transition.
On that point, we should end it. I should get a message. But no, we are really noticing that. We're noticing that companies are recognizing that because of all the myriad ways that people can communicate, and they're also recognizing that there's this kind of traditional boss who's cracking the whip and making sure that everybody's doing their work, and they have to work 8 hours a day, and it doesn't need to exist in most of the kind of the new industries that are emerging over the last 10-20 years. You don't need that. Most organizations are task-based and project-based, and I'm meaning the members here. I'm not forgetting about all of the other industries in the world, and people like to work. I think people are realizing that people like to be purposeful. People aren't just working for a wage. People want to contribute, and they want to contribute not only to for their own career, but they want to contribute to their company. Definitely with our generation, I don't know if you were at you mentioned Black Lives Matter, but the protest on Saturday, people want to contribute to their society. This generation and the generations that are going to be preceding it really do care about these things. So workspaces need to reflect that, and it needs to be where people can meet, that they can move around, get all of these ideas from all of this different part of the community. And I think that's where it's going to be really exciting to see how co-working spaces thrive if they are serving the whole community. And that's something that we're really going to be focusing on going forward, which will be really good. I guess I'm going to let you wrap up, but Scott, what's going to be your main take forward from after post-COVID about how you're going to be able to work together and collaborate with people?
Inclusion, and just we talked about, and I think this is a really important message, to do more, actively do more, and being sufficient isn't enough. So I think that's probably the biggest message that comes out of this for me.
Well, Scott, we're going to link in our I listened to the Adam Buxton podcast, and I really like saying show notes. In the show notes.
Show notes is good, yeah.
We're just in the comments. So we're going to about SiteVisibility, Clockwork Talent, and Brighton SEO. Is there anything else that you want to kind of call out or mention?
No, I think just thank you very much for your time. That was a really interesting conversation. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of the people that you've interviewed. And if you're getting conversations like this happening, that can only be a good thing, right? So you're actively doing something to I guess open people's eyes and ears. So thank you very much for that as well.
Thanks, Scott. And if anybody watching wants to know what's coming next, it is our episode 6 is with Toby Moore from the Content Club, who is a very dear friend and is very much cares about keeping our community together. So thanks again, Scott. A really great conversation, and I don't think I looked at any of my notes for that whole conversation. So,
brilliant.
I hope I touched on everything that people are looking. And again, if you want to know anything more about SiteVisibility, Clockwork Talent, or the projects, then please just have a look at all of our links below, and we'll see you soon.